number of things he could opt for. The Ari, of course, gives him infinite mobility in
That's
these
true.
team fights. The Akali gives him some mobility along with execution power. And then, of course, the Onslaught of Shadows gives him a lot of dive power.
The Sivir
and
ulti
then,
gives him mobility too.
Yeah, in some cases, stealing away the Sivir ult allows the rest of his team to run down these targets. I don't think that will be a priority for him, but if it's the end of a fight and his ult just comes up at the very end, you can certainly chase down kills with that Sivir.
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute. Can you spell shield hijack?
I believe so.
Okay, so that might be a little bit tight to try and take away. The other thing we hadn't even talked about is you've also, in theory, got the Braum ultimate if you wanted to try and counter and engage. Like Glacial Fissure can stop a lot of these champions in their tracks. You don't actually have to hit them. You don't have to target them. So the Sylas pick for Pretender is actually pretty spicy right now. I'm excited to see how it works. Pretender has been a very bright spot on this roster. I think he's been improving week over week, and there's a reason he was scouted by PSG Talon, now getting some on-stage experience as part of Frank Esports, and I'm excited to see his development continue. But there's a whole team behind him as well. We are underway in this game, the last game of week number 4. It has been one heck of a week here in the PCS Nightstar.
Yeah, Bank 2 also going for the lethal tempo on the Sivir, which is a bit of a different flare. Typically, we see the Dark Harvest, which signals lethality. I'm interested in if it will still be the lethality build or if we're going into the standard crit that we haven't seen in a very long time coming in from a champion like Sivir.
Interesting. That will be something to keep an eye on as we develop here. Of course, M&M going full farm up on that Cole early on in this game. Would definitely expect, as you mentioned, the bot lane to be a bit more of a wash.
Pyra?
And yes.
Pyra.
Yes.
Aliao did not almost die to blue buff this time.
He didn't. He gets props for completing his transition, his clear. Good job. That is a good pony.
He doesn't have to base at level 1. It's a
he's graduated.
Miracle.
He's graduated from the Zhao school of role swaps to he is officially a jungler. Congratulations. Olio passes the mark. We kid, but he has definitely had a bit of a trouble adjusting, and I'm glad to see him get the basics a little bit better.
Yeah, and so far is looking pretty solid here for Kurt. One of my big gripes for Kurt has just been he's just not been focused on laning. And I think that he just needs to reevaluate his approach. One of the issues, like even though he's had some nice roam timings, is if you're behind on gold, sometimes it just doesn't matter how good your timing is because you just don't have the stats to back up your great roam timing. And if they end up matching you, you just put yourself further and further behind. So I want to see more improvement out of him in just the lane phase in general.
Yeah, there is something as being too selfless and too team-oriented, right? I mean, he's already on a gangplank, so he can just like throw down a cannon barrage post 6 whenever he wants anywhere else on the map. But yeah, you got to be a little careful. You got to play for yourself. Give yourself some gold. Let's get some good old bank plank going. Now, Olio gets a clear out on the ward in that Tri-Brush. Meanwhile, we check in on mid. Pretender and Cha-Cha duking it out. Would definitely expect Pretender to be able to open up on this one just a little bit. But maybe Cha-Cha finds an angle here. This Ahri has been a very popular champion for some deletion potential for that hybrid ability to be both a control mage and an assassin in a lot of situations. But I still am keeping my eye up at that top lane. Kurt so far doing well, getting the out farm here. And, we'll eventually get to answer the age-old question, Nightstar, is who wins in a fight between a pirate and a ninja?
Yes, that will be a question to be answered.
But it's a very important question, according to my millennial sensibilities.
Another thing is, of course, Cha-Cha is, well, not only is he currently behind or not that far ahead in lane, he's also running the Ignite, so we do have to keep that in mind as this is an Ahri that is exclusively looking to be more of the assassin rather than control mage, and really play aggressive and get these resets. And so far, like this is one of those issues when you do run the Ignite, right? Is if you're looking for a reset and they just immediately crash the wave, you have to make that decision. Do I stick around? Or do I go ahead back and end up sacking that wave because of the fact I don't have that teleport?
Yeah, I think that's a tough call, right? You know, when you go all in on the Ignite, you got to be very careful. Now, Eminem spots Olio here, coming in through Tri-Brush. We'll be able to clear away his ward, but at the same time, Eminem, K2 know what's up here. Question is, do they hang tough in this? It looks like they should be able to. Olio's not going in on him. Level 6, though, for ICU, and there we go. Kurt forced to flash away, and Ninja's reign supreme as he hits him with the Machi emote.
Flashing the Machi emote, of course, he was on the Machi Esports squad last year. Sitting in as a sub-trainee, I believe. So, was still involved with that team. So, shout out to them. Of course, they don't exist in the league anymore, unfortunately.
It's a limited edition emote now.
Yeah. And Kurt, once again, just not quite understanding the dynamics there. Obviously, he wanted to crash that wave, get that reset off, so he could go ahead, get his Sheen, but just not quite keeping track of the EXP. So ICU hits level 6, instantly goes in. Hollow, though, has a nice flank.
Yeah, he does. Let's see if they can make it count here as Enhao is going to leap to Hollow. Bang 2 out of mana. The Sivir still does quite a lot on those auto attacks. Flashes, heals, everything just about burned except for Bang 2's flash, I'd say, on that one. And pretty good trade for the Frank Esports bot side.
Yeah, and now Hurricane Gaming, they just immediately look for the dive up in this top side. Actually, Alio's
very
scouting
slow
for camps, but he should also know that there shouldn't be any camps left available. We get we get to see a pro view. This is
pretty
I think
sweet.
this is the first time we've seen a lane pro view. I think there's been a few times where we had team fights.
That was pretty sweet, actually. I mean, ICU, this is just somebody who knows the limits of his own abilities of his champions. Yeah, love to see that one. Of course, he did have a bit of an item edge there with Seekers. I think that was pre-Sheen for Kurt there, so that was also a bit of a timing window that he could abuse.
Yep, so now the trades would have technically looked better for Kurt, but given the fact that he is at a slight disadvantage, and you also now have, of course, the arm guard stacking up for ICU, then I mean, you're still going to have the poke advantage, but ICU, when he gets that Ignite back up, you can certainly imagine he's just instantly going to try and turn and instigate a fight.
He's going to just try and get himself fed, right? I mean, this is what ICU does.
He's trying to 1v9.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It may work. It may work. It's always possible. Frank Esports, they're a little bit more focused on the objective play, though. That is going to be the Dragon going down. However, Hurricane find an opening to trade for Rift Herald here, and there really isn't much of a flip possible. So that is going to be Infernal traded for Herald. Kurt could sniff this out, but I don't really think there's a whole lot of option to steal unless the Jinx Rocket comes in at the right time. No, it doesn't go down. Olio will be able to get that smite. Whoa, I almost spoke too soon. Kurt was setting up on those barrels. It's a pretty hefty trade, though, with a couple of plates going the way of Eminem with all of that. So they kind of need some value out of this Herald.
Yeah, I mean, Eminem basically gets Rift Herald value right then and there. Getting 2 plates to his name, so he's perfectly comfortable with conceding, or Frank Esports are perfectly comfortable with conceding that Rift Herald because they've made that Rift Herald money back. And now it's about Kurt just not getting snowballed on, because this is going to be a clear point of attack. They've set up the dive, and Pretender doesn't have the TP. He's going to look to move over. They could potentially have a collapse onto Alio.
Yeah, it's always possible. I don't think they really know he's there. I think they're a little bit more focused on ICU. Remember, no flash on the Akali, only Ignite. The absolute mad lad. Here he comes, Pony on a run. Smart, smited down by Kurt. That is the cannon barrage into the onslaught of shadows. Olio tanking tower. Kurt turns the fight. And he almost gets ICU in the mix. Meanwhile, into the mid, Cha-Cha nails the charm onto Holo. He has
this could be a
damage.
turn.
Isn't enough, though. Oh, boy. That was a strange turn of events.
Man, we almost had both 2v1s go south for the pair, which would have been comical, yet also disappointing at the same time. But
I don't know if you want to play Yakety Sax or the Sad Trombone.
Kurt able to find the 1v2 kill.
Yeah.
Even though he's having a bit of a rough time, able to find that fight, and now he gets himself an additional 300 gold to his name, gets himself that Kindle gem, adds of course that extra ability haste to help out. Okay.
Pretender. Okay, he has Ari ultimate too, so mobility for days. He does get charmed, but he's going to go over the wall. Nicely done. Beautiful from Pretender.
Infinite dashes.
Oh, yeah. Silas does not skip leg day.
If you thought Silas didn't have enough dashes before, just wait until he gets Ari ult.
Oh, boy. That's disgusting, man. Not for Pretender.
Yeah, really, really nice play come from Pretender, knowing that he had kill threat, even though he isn't the one with Ignite. But now Kurt with double buffs, ICU has his eyes on double buffs.
Oh boy, he's just waiting in the brush. He wants it. This is going to be a shuriken. He walks to safety. Okay, not bad. I mean, ICU still gets a decent trade out of it, but heals back up there. Kurt, here comes Olio. He does.
I want him back.
He was holding him. That's going to be a Rift Herald Eye popped. Kurt staying safe under tower. We'll see if Olio goes in for round 2. He tanked a little bit too much last time. No ghost here, critically.
Yeah.
Taking a lot of... Oh, no, he's going to run into Holo.
Okay. All right, Holo.
Okay,
goes
audacious
in.
charge in.
Cha-Cha's here, though.
Who's baiting who? That's going to be the onslaught of shadows into the dashback. Cha-Cha now looking for it. Does find the Orbit Deception kill as K2 is now joining the fray and ICU around the side. Pretender, I don't know if they can. That's Olio deleted. Now all of a sudden the turn is on. The rocket pings into Cha-Cha. ICU isolated. He does dash the wall though, and that's going to be all she wrote. Traded junglers at the end of the day.
Yeah, ICU. Now you don't see me. So in and out. But all in all, I feel a lot more comfortable with that trade if I am the side of Frank Esports.
Eminem. I think that's 1v2 right now.
Yeah, even more comfortable because Eminem doesn't care that he's in a 1v2 disadvantage. In fact, no one on Frank Esports cares because Kurt just turned one. So, I guess we get our power from man disadvantages. Let's go.
That must be how it goes. I can't argue with that logic, Nightstar. Frank Esports continue to move forward here. A just about 2,000, little under 2,000 goal lead, I should say. Still also have the Dragon. Critically, that Infernal, only one that will be making an appearance this game. Olio and Holo meet yet again, and Olio does not want that fight.
Respecting the jungler this time around, and he goes ahead, backs off. Of course, doesn't have a completed Mythic, given that he rushed for the Lucidity boots, which is pretty standard, but still looking to challenge
for something. Trying to make a play. There's actually a little bit of chip damage on. They turn Enhao in, but Olio, there was no follow-up damage. And now Kurt throws on that cannon barrage, chases them away. Pretender now chases Cha-Cha down. Everything's coming up, Frank. And ICU. Oh, he checks right into danger, but will he be able to take down Pretender? Going in, dashes, 4 days. Pretender finally going to fall here after he picks up the double kill. That was crazy.
And Kurt's going to be able to get some nice free damage up in this top side. Won't be able to finish off the turret, but he is 2-1-1. And I mean, these solo laners coming out to play. 3-1-2 on Pretender. He pops off in this fight, so we get to see the replay.
This was
just really ill-advised. This is really ill-advised. He doesn't have a team there. I guess he's essentially jumping in to hope for a steal, but in that case, Enhao just has to also understand that and just back off.
Yeah, that team was not on the same page with the way they wanted to make a play there. Pretender does go down, so that is still some shutdown gold, a bit of a bounty popped into Bang 2's pocket, but Hurricane Gaming, they're not getting as good as they're giving, or they're not giving as good as they're getting, I should say. Pretender and Holo now in a fight with Cha-Cha. Let's see if they can get this one going. Foxfire, a lot of damage. There's the onslaught of shadows, but Oleo's a little bit too far forward, and again he gets taken down. This time he feeds it straight to Eminem. And ICU can't really get involved in the mix either. It's just a little too early on these engages. Now they're caught between a Herald and a hard place. And Bang 2 forced to flash away as there was a Tom Kench right at his back after the rocket. That's going to beat Herald over to Frank.
Whew, okay. Frank Esports once again punish an overextension coming in from Alio. Again, he doesn't have the mythic completed until after that fight, so yet another ill-advised battle. They almost get Hollow, mind you, but Tom Kench comes in handy and they deny that kill, which is, of course, that reset power denied away from Cha-Cha. So they can't further push the issue, and Frank Esports easily turn it, and it looks very, very one-sided.
Yeah, it is. Going to be another tower taken here as Pretender shifts his weight up top side. Holo also has the Herald. They're not going to pop it here because they don't need to just yet. So Frank really extending that gold lead to about 5,000. They have Dragon stacks as well, and it will be Cloud Rift this time around. And it just seems like Hurricane Gaming are not on the same page.
I mean, at least they're living somewhat to the Hurricane name in that they're so all over the place that
it's a chaotic storm.
Yeah.
That's true. It's
a storm of some sort.
For sure.
Not the preferred one.
No, I think they really try to get a dive going. That unfortunately gets stopped before it started. Eminem clearing away in mid. Eminem's playing with a lot of confidence too. He's been stepping up. He had a very, very dangerous play where he had some rocket poke onto Cha-Cha after he was able to land that zap and still tiptoed away from the Orbit Deception. If you can do that as an AD carry on a Jinx particularly, that is really impressive. And Eminem has been one of the more impressive players, not just on this Frank squad. I think as an AD carry in general. MVP last week as well, remember.
And now, when you look at... Okay, Pretender in a 1v2.
Yeah, it gets a little bit... Dash, dive, dodge, ducked, and dipped, and Holo has arrived as well. Oleo getting turned on. Pretender gets one. Holo gets the other, and once again they turn the fight. The rocket not even needed as Eminem throws it out for the insurance policy.
Whew, okay, Frank Esports find yet another outplay, really showcasing the individual prowess that can be on this team that we haven't necessarily seen a whole lot. And now, Entry setting up for a dive. Of course, it is a little bit difficult against a Braum that still has ult.
Yeah, and he uses it right there. Oh, even through the heal. He is going to get taken very low off the stopwatch. ICU looking for the flank. What can he do? Going forward, looks for Eminem, and that's big shutdown gold. Exhausted a little too late. Hurricane needed that. He looks for one. He looks for two. Perfect execution does not find Kurt where he needed it to be. But that is at least a big shutdown on the AD carry.
Able to at least get one kill, and he doesn't have to trade his life for it, which is always going to be a big win there. And I mean, for Hurricane Gaming, it feels like a same old. ICU has to somehow find a way to 1v9 these fights. So we'll see if Hurricane Gaming decide to fight for this Cloud Dragon, or if they go ahead and hand it over. They don't have ults available.
They leashed it.
Alio's ult is sort of coming up, but that's the only tool they really have here.
Pretender has an onslaught of shadows if they really want it. I
and
feel like
this
is not the fight you want to take right now. It's not yet Soul, even though you're falling behind. And yeah, they half-heartedly sniff in there, and it's a little bit too late to try and make the escape. 2 onslaughts, 2 shadows, and Pretender leading the charge here, but they walk it out.
Yeah, they're not gonna go ahead and force the issue. Certainly still opportunity for them to overextend themselves, so I think they understood that we'll just go ahead, take what we already got what we wanted, and we'll just take whatever else we can without risking too much.
Oh, there's a teleport
But now
here.
a teleport coming in, that's ICU.
Shelly gets the charge. Here comes Olio and ICU. Can they make a play? Olio doesn't really know what he wants here, but ICU certainly does as he looks for Holo. Then for Kurt, but the fight is a little bit scuffed on a couple of fronts right now. You see Bing 2 zoned out of this one. Cha-Cha going to get fired down by Holo. And the rest of the team, M&M running wild on the resets. And you have 2 kills for Pretender. Hurricane fizzle out here as it's a massive clean ace for Frank Esports.
The Eye of the Tiger finds the Eye of the Storm right there. Frank Esports, they go in and they find a dominating ace. Don't lose anyone for that. And now, like, we get to see the replay. It's just so well defended. And the big part is Alia doesn't have his ult, so that's their key engage tool. Now gone, which means ICU and Cha-Cha have to really do... It's so much harder for these 2 champions to enforce the dive when there's no big fear to kind of break apart these team fights. It gets a whole lot harder to just dive onto a Jinx when now everyone is able to recognize that, hey, only the Jinx is under threat here, and like, we can easily set up defensive flanks because, well, there's no fear to break our formation up.
Kurt also did a great job of splitting the team with a very well-placed cannon barrage as well. And
yes.
Yeah, this is massive at this point. Pretender feeling pretty confident. He just straight up buys a Medjai's on 10 sacks of Dark Seal. And why not? You're 7-1 this game. Pretender's been having a field day. Picked up a triple kill in that fight.
Still has a stopwatch too, so if he needs to burn it in this next fight, that's
He's got plenty of time.
Another reason why you get the Medjai's. You're going to be able to buy time with that stopwatch. M&M, perhaps
a little frontlining AD carry, limit testing right there. A little bit
too aggressive. The
That's okay.
Sivir still hurts.
He's got a stopwatch too.
It is, of course, the lethality Sivir, even though it is lethal tempo. But if you are able to hit these boomerangs, like, they are still going to carve out large chunks of HP, because if we look at our defensive stats, it's a whole lot of magic resistance and a whole lot of no armor. So it's possible for Bang 2 to have an impact, but because of how much dive focus is placed on this composition, it is just a majority of magic damage that is coming through. The Sivir just isn't able to keep up.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing, right? Like, you know, when you're looking for damage on Sivir, there's always that old, like, 500 CS win condition, but you're not anywhere near there just yet, and the team is built for something a little different. Pretender trying to zone them off. M&M and K2 just pecking away at this turret. M&M stepping really far front. Rocket comes through, and ICU burns low. Stays alive. Pretender was hoping to cut him off, but that's enough to chase them off turret. And Frank are looking to close this one.
Yeah, it looks to be a pretty methodical finish. We'll see if Hurricane Gaming are able to generate some sort of pick and throw a wrench in that plan, but it's looking very, I want to say PSG light.
Yep, there is an onslaught of shadows, though they do catch K2, Holo, and M&M, but that's a swallow up on the Tom Kench. And can they get to the back line? There's ICU there. He gets immediately exhausted. The turn, the damage, it's just too big. Alive. And M&M finally drops, but not before securing himself a pretty big spree. Only Bang 2 and Enhao live on the Frank Esports side.
Really, really solid team fighting coming in from Frank Esports. And, I mean, it's slow, methodical, but very, very clinical. And it's very similar to PSG. Of course, PSG does it better, but I mean, when you are looking to lock in a playoff spot, you just have to get the surefire wins that you can. And this is certainly one of those wins that we would say should be a freebie, but they have to execute.
Yeah, maybe Frank Esports, getting Pretender on the roster, bringing in a little bit of those PSG style plays, and they certainly looked great. 8-1 and 8. Holy cow! Let's look at this fight one more time. Olio tries for the charge. Immediately, K2 saves M&M. Really good defensive play. Doesn't stop ICU from getting in there and eventually deleting him, but I mean that's about all he could do.
Yeah. Big cost. It was definitely at what cost, very similar to trying to kill Hanabi, and now ICU is very far from home.
Yes, he is. Olio Trying to cut off Kurt. There's Enhao as well. Maybe they have a chance to turn this. That's going to be the onslaught burned, and off the stun. They take Kurt down. Here comes the rocket. Bang 2 is going to get deleted. Absolutely. I think it's going to charge their entire Nexus right after this one. Chacha coming off a cooldown just in time to see his team evaporate, and he's trying to dash for days. Can't even make it back to the safety of the fountain. And you got to think that's GG with a Pretender Quadra.
A Quadra kill coming in for Pretender to finish things off, and Frank Esports, cool, calm, collected, and clinical way to finish out this day.
Frankly, Nightstar, they don't give a damn. Hurricane Gaming are gonna drop